On the rainy evening of November 24, 1971, a seemingly ordinary man boarded Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 in Portland, Oregon. The flight, destined for Seattle, had a few dozen passengers, including families and business travelers. But one of those passengers was anything but ordinary. The man, later known as D.B. Cooper, was in his mid-40s, wearing a black suit, a white shirt, and a black tie. He sat quietly, ordered a bourbon and soda, and appeared calm as the plane took off. However, as the flight cruised at 10,000 feet, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant, stating that he had a bomb. He opened his briefcase, revealing wires and a red stick, claiming it contained explosives. In a tense but controlled manner, Cooper demanded $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to allow the plane to escape. The flight crew, terrified yet compliant, communicated his demands to authorities, who scrambled to meet them. Passengers remained unaware of the unfolding drama. As the plane landed in Seattle, Cooper's demands were met. The money and parachutes were handed over, and the passengers were released. However, Cooper kept the remaining flight crew aboard, instructing them to take off again. With the rear stairway deployed, he ordered the plane to fly toward Mexico City at a low altitude and slow speed. Around 8:00 p.m., the aircraft took off, and Cooper began negotiating the flight path. The crew followed his instructions, flying towards the mountains of Washington. Little did they know Cooper had a plan. When the plane was over rugged terrain, Cooper activated the rear stairway and leapt into the night with a parachute, disappearing into the dark. The aircraft landed safely back in Seattle, and authorities were left in disbelief. A massive manhunt ensued, scouring the area where Cooper had jumped, but he was nowhere to be found. Despite an extensive investigation and countless leads over the years, the identity and fate of D.B. Cooper remained a mystery. For years, the case puzzled the FBI, which dedicated resources to the investigation. The media buzzed with theories. Some believed he had perished in the jump, while others thought he had escaped and lived a quiet life. In 1980, a young boy found a decaying package containing $5,800 in cash, which was part of Cooper's ransom, buried along the Columbia River, reigniting interest in the case. Despite the clues, D.B. Cooper was never caught. He became an urban legend, a symbol of cleverness and audacity. To this day, his true identity remains unknown, and the case stands as one of the greatest mysteries in American history. On the evening of November 24, 1971, the skies over the Pacific Northwest were dreary and rainy, setting a somber tone for Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. The flight was a short, routine hop from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington, with 36 passengers on board, most oblivious to the extraordinary events about to unfold. Among them was a man who would become infamous for his daring heist, D.B. Cooper. Cooper was an enigmatic figure. Described as being in his mid-40s with a neatly trimmed mustache and wearing a black suit, he projected an air of calm confidence. As the flight took off, he ordered a bourbon and soda, sitting quietly in his seat, seemingly just another business traveler. Yet, beneath his composed exterior lay a meticulously crafted plan. Shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. At first, she thought it was a lonely man's phone number, but upon reading the note, her heart raced. The note detailed that Cooper had a bomb and was hijacking the plane. To prove his point, he opened a briefcase, revealing wires and what appeared to be explosives. In a tense yet methodical manner, Cooper made his demands known. He wanted $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck ready to refuel the plane upon landing in Seattle. Cooper threatened that if his demands weren't met, he would detonate the bomb. Fear gripped the flight crew as they complied, understanding the gravity of the situation. As the flight landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, authorities were alerted and a bomb squad was dispatched. The passengers, blissfully unaware of the chaos, were allowed to disembark, but Cooper retained control over the remaining crew. The FBI worked quickly, collecting the ransom money, which was all in unmarked bills, and procuring parachutes from a local skydiving school. Once the ransom was delivered and the parachutes secured, Cooper instructed the plane to take off again. His conditions were specific. The plane had to fly towards Mexico City at a low altitude of around 10,000 feet and a slow speed of about 100 knots. The rear stairway of the Boeing 727 was to remain open during flight, a request that the crew found unusual but followed nonetheless. As the plane took off into the dusky skies, Cooper maintained a low profile, communicating with the crew as they navigated through the Pacific Northwest mountains. During this time, he showed no signs of panic or distress. Instead, he was calm and collected. His confidence seemed unnerving to the flight crew, who were acutely aware that they were being held captive by a man with a bomb. About 30 minutes into the flight, once they were over the rugged terrain of Washington state, Cooper executed the final phase against weight. With the rear stairway still deployed, he made his move. At approximately 8:00 p.m., as the plane flew over the dense forests, Cooper strapped on a parachute, and in one daring leap, he jumped from the aircraft into the dark, rain-soaked night. The crew immediately notified air traffic control, who scrambled to launch search efforts. However, by the time authorities mobilized, Cooper had vanished into the vast wilderness, leaving no trace. The aircraft landed safely back in Seattle, where stunned authorities awaited its arrival. They searched the plane, hoping to find clues that would lead to Cooper's capture, but found nothing but the calm demeanor of the flight crew, who were shaken yet relieved to be alive. The FBI launched a massive manhunt, focusing on the area where Cooper had jumped. Helicopters, ground teams, and search dogs scoured the rugged terrain, but Cooper was nowhere to be found. The case quickly became a national sensation, with news outlets buzzing about the audacious hijacker who had outsmarted law enforcement. As the investigation unfolded, numerous leads emerged. Many people claimed to have seen Cooper after the jump, while others offered wild theories about his identity. Some speculated he was a disgruntled veteran, while others suggested he was a criminal mastermind. The case became a tantalizing puzzle that captured the public's imagination. The most notable break in the case came in 1980, when a young boy discovered a decaying package containing $5,800 in cash buried along the Columbia River. The serial numbers on the bills matched those from the ransom money, reigniting interest in the mystery. Despite this discovery, investigators still could not locate Cooper, nor did they find any additional evidence. In the following years, the FBI continued to receive tips and leads, but they were often dead ends. In 2016, the FBI officially closed its investigation, stating that the case had become too cold. Despite this, the allure of D.B. Cooper never faded. His story has been retold countless times in books, documentaries, and even fictional accounts. D.B. Cooper became a folk hero of sorts, representing the ultimate bad guy who successfully pulled off an impossible heist. Many wondered if he had lived on after the jump, perhaps blending into society or even passing away in the wilderness. Others speculated that he may have met a tragic fate after his leap into the unknown. To this day, the true identity of D.B. Cooper remains a mystery, and the questions surrounding his fate linger like shadows in the minds of amateur sleuths and conspiracy theorists alike. The legend of D.B. Cooper has become woven into the fabric of American culture, a story of audacity, intrigue, and the ultimate escape that continues to fascinate generations.